Okay, Seattle, I need to ask you a quick question. What happened? You were set up wonderfully for a playoff run, but then you decided in November that y'all didn't want to compete? How in the world did this happen? Starting off the 2023 NFL season, the Seahawks decided to run it back with Geno Smith, and it was a fair choice because he had a solid 2022 season. Drew Lock did remain in Seattle as the backup, although due to injuries he would have playing time in the season, and he played pretty well for what he did. Going back to week 1 though, the Seahawks started off the season with a tough loss to their hated foes, the Los Angeles Rams, but they won their next 3 games to improve to 3-1. A loss to the Bengals followed by 2 wins over the Cardinals and Browns, and this team was sitting at 5-2. A beautiful place to be in the NFC because this conference was perceived as weaker, and the teams that ended up making the playoffs overall had a lower record than teams that made it in the AFC. So a 5-2 record near the middle of the season was a beautiful place for a playoff run. That was until they decided to lose 4 of their 5 November games, only beating the Commanders in this stretch, and the Seahawks now sat at 6-6 to enter December. Not a death blow by any means, because like I said, the NFC is top-heavy and weaker, but they needed to win games. It was absolutely crunch time for the Seahawks. So with it being crunch time, how did December go? Well, they lost to the 49ers and the Steelers, but they ended up getting 2 wins against the Eagles and Titans. So at 8-8 entering the final week, things did not look great, but there was a chance. In Week 18, this team needed to take care of business and beat the Arizona Cardinals, but they also had to have the Packers lose to the Bears. The Seahawks did take care of business and won, but the Bears did not, so the Seahawks did go home empty-handed, just barely missing out the playoffs because of their monumental collapse. So, where do the Seahawks go from here? Well, it might be time to consider new blood, either a head coach or in management. Pete Carroll has made some questionable decisions this season, but their talent acquisition has not really been amazing. They've made some decent additions, but overall not really feeling like this team was rejuvenating themselves for a playoff run. So that could mean that fresh blood could be the best way to go to fix this mess, and I would not be opposed to the Seahawks keeping Pete Carroll if they can get more help around him with a better quarterback, because this offense could thrive if you have a good quarterback. So it might have been just Geno that had a bad season, so we have to make sure that we cover our bases. You know, Geno might have had just one magical year, and now he's back down to reality, so we do have to cover our bases before getting too hasty, but that is something to consider, whether or not you keep Pete Carroll. So Seattle, it is time for you to choose. Are you going to choose Pete, or are you going to choose Geno?